Let's talk the club. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk the club. Woo!
Hey, good evening, everybody. How's everyone doing? This is Cutler here in the Let's Talk to Cutler Virtual Book Club, the Let's Talk to Cutler YouTube channel, the Let's Talk to Cutler platform where we exchange thoughts and ideas and we spend about 1,800 seconds together. And hopefully I'm offering something that's motivational and inspirational and sometimes challenging. I think that one of the ways that we become better and the best version of ourselves is to accept the challenges when we hear them. I don't know about you, but for me, challenging myself and being challenged by others is what makes me become better. So we spend these 1,800 seconds together trying to become better, trying to make sure that I showed up a better person today than I did yesterday, and just somehow trying to make sure that I am intentional about becoming better tomorrow, certainly better tomorrow than I was today. And all things considered, just making sure that I live a life where I show up my best self, even in the worst of situations, in my most challenging situations. I want to show up my best self. In my most trying situations, I want to show up my best self. In my most discouraging situations, I want to show up my best self. And I wanted to share that, you all, because it does not negate the fact that we don't have those moments. And I'm going somewhere, and I'll get to that point in just a moment. But I did not want to negate the fact that we don't have those moments. We have trying moments, we have challenging moments, we have discouraging moments, we have depressing moments, we have moments of heartaches, we have moments of sorrow, we have moments of grief. We have all of those moments. But how do I show up my best self, even in the worst of situations? How do I allow my character to ring true, even in the midst of those situations? How do I allow my integrity to stand up and be counted for, even in those kinds of situations? That's what I'm striving to do. That's the reason I spend this time trying to drop some nuggets to make sure that when we think about it, we are doing the same thing. I want to talk this evening about why you should be proud of yourself, and I'll get to that in just a moment. But before I do, I just wanted to make sure that anybody who's talking about for the first time get an idea of what we're talking about, what we do on this platform, what we do on this YouTube channel. We talk about things that are driven and designed to inspire us, to motivate us, and to challenge us. So if you have not done so already, please do me a favor. Go ahead and subscribe to this platform. And once you do, you can click the notification bell. It lets you know whenever I've gone live and whenever I've uploaded new content. And then I want to shout out, I want to look over at the chat, and I see so many of you there already. I see some of you still signed in, but you haven't come over to the chat. Come on over to the chat. I really love to see you. And I love to just say hello to everybody on this seventh day of December, where the month is moving right along. Can you all believe it? We have come 7 days into this last month already. Time is just moving right along. Time is moving right along. And I'm thankful that I have you all to move along time with me. I want to shout out again the LTTC VIPs. Those are the people from my perspective who hop over to the chat first. They are Annie Cutler, Paula D, and Hattie Boone this evening. So a good evening to all of you all. I want to talk about why you should be proud of yourself. And yes, as I broach this topic tonight, my question is this. I have two questions. Which of these clauses have you heard most recently about you or about someone else? Which ones, not have you said, but which ones have you heard about you, about yourself, or about someone else? Have you most recently heard you ought to be ashamed of yourself, or you should be proud of yourself? I'm just wondering whether it is about you or about someone else. I'm not talking about whether or not you said it, but which one of these sayings have you heard most recently? You ought to be ashamed of yourself, or you should be proud of yourself. That's one part of the question I want to pose this evening. And then I want to ask, which saying have you used lately? Which one have you spoken lately? Have you spoken and said to someone, you should be ashamed of yourself? Or have you spoken and said to someone, you should be proud of yourself? You don't have to put it in the chat if you don't want to, but I just want you to do a self inventory for just a moment because I'm going somewhere with this. I was having a conversation with my sister in law earlier this evening, and we were talking about she's engaged in studying, working on her degree, and she was talking about me and in my academic pursuits and academic accomplishments, and she said, you really should be proud of yourself. And I thought, okay, all right. And it's not that I just blew her off, but I thought, yeah, that was hard work. I remember those days. I remember the years that I spent behind a desk as a student, and I recalled that. And when she said you should be proud of yourself, just for a moment, just for a moment, I'm glad to hear. I'm looking at your comments. I'm looking at your comments. I'm reading the comments because my question was, which phrase, which saying have you used more recently? Which one have you used more recently? You ought to be ashamed of yourself, and you should be proud of yourself. And it looks like, just from the couple of responses that came in, it looks like most people have used the phrase, used the term, the saying, you should be proud of yourself. And that's a good thing, you all, because as I was saying, when my sister-in-law was applauding me or commending me for my academic accomplishments, I just thought, oh, okay, yeah, that was hard work. I remember those days. And it did not settle in the moment. It did not settle in that it is okay. It is okay, you all, to be proud of yourself. It is okay to be happy with your accomplishments and to be pleased with your hard work and to be satisfied with your effort. Let me say that again. It is okay to be pleased with your hard work. It is okay to be satisfied with your efforts. And a lot of times people will do these mental trips on you and this mental manipulation and play these mind games and cause you to think that you should not be proud of yourself and you should not be pleased with your accomplishments and satisfied with your efforts. But may I say this to you? You would probably look at someone else who had done the same thing as you, and you would take so much pride in their hard work. You would take so much pride in their efforts, and you would applaud them and you would commend them. Take a moment to do the same thing for yourself. You ought to be proud of yourself. You ought to be proud and pleased with all of your hard work and with all of your accomplishments. You ought to take a bow. There's nothing wrong with that. I challenge some of you to just stop whatever you're doing, wherever you are now, just stop and take a bow and let me applaud you, because you would do it for someone else. You would do it for someone else. So who told you that you could not do it for you? Take a moment and be pleased with your hard work. Take a moment and be proud of your efforts. Take a moment and be glad about your accomplishments. Take a moment and celebrate your successes. Be thankful for your wins. You should be proud of yourself, because if the truth be told, if someone else did what you have done, you would be proud of them. You would be commending them. You would be celebrating them. Take a moment and be proud of yourself. And I'm not talking about the kind of pride that inflates your ego or that is self-aggrandizing. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about taking a moment of recognizing the value that is inside of you, the hard work that is inside of you, the integrity that is inside of you, the tenacity that is inside of you, the fortitude that is inside of you. You did the work. Be proud of yourself. There is this term that we hear unabashedly and unashamedly and unapologetically when it comes to your hard work. Be proud of yourself unashamedly, unabashedly, and unapologetically. Do not cower. Do not cower in shame when people celebrate you. You don't have to inflate your chest with arrogance, but you don't have to cower in shame either. Because what what you ought to do, and I read this as a self-affirmation somewhere. What you ought to do from time to time is to write a note, and the note should say, "Note to self, I'm going to make you proud today." That ought to be your note to self. For some self affirmations, from time to time, when you wake up, write a note to self, and the note to self should say, "I'm going to make you proud today." And then at the end of the day, speak to yourself and say, "You did. Absolutely. Yes, you did." And don't let anybody make you feel bad or any kind of way, as the young folks say nowadays. Don't let anybody make you feel some kind of way about celebrating yourself and being proud of yourself. You ought to be proud of yourself. No matter what you're going through. No matter what you're going through, you all have heard me say this before, and I want to reiterate the point. It is how you respond that matters. My response is what matters. What matters is not necessarily what comes my way, what comes across my path, or what falls into my lap, or what I encounter in life. It's not always what I encounter that happens, but what matters the most is how I respond. How I respond in the face of tragedy, how I respond in the face of loss, how I respond in the face of all of those things. That's what matters. That is what matters. Did I handle the moment with integrity? That's what matters. And if you did, you ought to be proud of yourself. I think about my mother who's taking care of my bedridden grandmother. She is handling the moment with integrity. She should be proud of herself. And sometimes you're in autopilot and you're moving and you're doing this and you're doing that and you're doing so many things and you're handling life, but you don't stop to say, "I'm doing okay. I'm doing a good job. I really should be proud of myself." I'm offering us. Here is that offering. What am I offering? I'm offering us a respite, a brief moment to stop what we're doing and recognize that what you're doing is a good thing. It is a noteworthy thing. It is a meritorious thing, and you ought to be proud of yourself. Yes, you should. You really should. We are so quick to say to people, "You ought to be ashamed of yourself," and we offer condemnation. But how many times do we offer commendations to people? I challenge us. I challenge us not only to be proud of ourselves, but to extend a moment to somebody else. The next time you see somebody doing a good work, I challenge you to say to them, "You ought to be proud of yourself. You ought to celebrate your efforts. You should be pleased with your successes." And for some of us, how we have handled life, how we have handled others in life, we ought to be proud of ourselves. We ought to be pleased with ourselves. I'm just offering that because I think sometimes, like I said, life is just an autopilot, and we're moving so quickly, and we experience the hardships and the sadness and the darknesses, the darknesses, the dark moments in life, and we don't stop to think, "You know what? I handled that moment with integrity. Yeah, I should be proud of myself." How many of you, how many times have you stopped to assess your response to life? Wow, Cutler, that's deep. How many times have you stopped to assess your response to life? Let me see how I'm responding when someone pushes me in a moment that should make me angry. How am I responding? How am I responding when I face a moment that should cause anxiety? How am I responding? Sometimes it is about getting angry. It's not so much as about getting angry, but it's how you handle your anger. Notice, I didn't say you shouldn't get angry, but it's how you handle your anger. Sometimes it is about handling how you handle the anxiety. I'm not saying that you should not be anxious. I'm not talking about from a spiritual place, because some of people are going to say, "Oh, color," but the scripture says that you shouldn't be anxious, and I'm not necessarily talking about from that perspective. But I'm talking about sometimes just dealing with the anxiety of life. I'm not saying that you should not be anxious. I'm just simply saying you should evaluate how did I handle my moments of anxiety and my anxious moments. How did I handle my moments of grief and sadness? How did I handle them? How did I handle the moments where I felt like I was completely ecstatic about what was going on wonderful in my life? So, from one end of the spectrum to the other, how did I handle those moments? I'm not saying we should not experience those. My question, my challenging question is, how did I handle myself in that moment? Because sometimes we handle things in a way where we ought to be ashamed of ourselves. I know I have. Let me just put up both hands. And there are some moments that won't offer us a do-over. I need to put that out there. There are some moments that will not offer us a do-over. That is why I have these conversations. That is why when it comes to spending these 1,800 seconds together, it is always my hope and my goal and my dream and my prayer to offer a nugget that will make us better. So when I hear that, I want to step into a place. I want to grab that so that next time I step into a situation that looks like that, maybe I didn't do so well with it 2 days ago. Maybe I didn't do so well with it 2 months ago, 2 weeks ago, or 2 years ago, Cutler. But I'm hearing you call it into my conscious. I'm hearing you call that thing into my consciousness now, and because I want to do better, because I want to be better, because I want to show up better, I'm going to be conscientious about it. I'm going to be cognizant about how I respond in life. Because maybe in the past I didn't think about how I responded. Maybe in the past I didn't think about what kind of impact it had on other people. Maybe in the past I didn't think about how it would affect me or my future. But moving forward, I need to think about my responses, because there are some people whose responses landed them in an early grave. There are some people whose responses landed them in a psychiatric institute. There are some people whose responses landed them in jail. There are some people whose responses caused them to be ostracized, outcast, because of their responses. How you respond matters. And I want you to be proud for how you handle all of those moments with integrity, with character, with decency, with courtesy. Note to self, today I'm going to make you proud. I haven't even gotten into offering us some tips and helpful hints of how to do it. I just need to get across the notion that we should do it. Should do what, Cutler? Should be proud of ourselves, and should strive to make ourselves proud, and then should be okay with being proud of ourselves. Don't take your successes for granted. Don't take your accomplishments for granted, because in the whole scheme of things, in the grand scheme of things, on an emotional level, this is just an act of self-love. Remember, this kind of pride that I'm talking about really is self-love. It is not inflating or overinflating your ego. Neither is it devaluing other people. But it is taking a moment to love yourself and to celebrate yourself. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about make sure that you're proud of yourself. How do I do it? Cutler, how do I ensure that I'm proud of myself? Take a look at what it means to win. Take a look at what it means to be successful. Take a look of what it means to be victorious for you. It's personal and subjective. You got to personalize that thing. You cannot allow other people to define what success looks like for you, to define what victory looks like for you, to define what winning looks like for you. You have to define it for yourself. And for some of us, success looks like being able to get up and face the next day. Decide when you decide what it means to you, you reduce those moments when you could possibly feel like you have failed. Got to learn how to define your success. Got to learn how to do that. And after you've learned how to define your success, go ahead and define your successes, and then you have to acknowledge the things that you've done. Honor all of your wins. Step by step, every step along the way, every step along your journey, from day to day, take the moment to acknowledge the things that you've done. Acknowledge all of your wins. Acknowledge all of your victories. I don't care how small they may seem to other people. Look at what you would say and do for other people and learn how to acknowledge your own wins. This is how you become proud of yourself. Color, why are you spending time with that? It's because I want people to see the value that we have inside of us. There really are treasures in these earthen vessels. And we don't always see it. And when we get ready to go through another trial or another test or another situation, I want us to be strengthened. I want us to be strengthened because of who we are. I want us to be strengthened because of the character that we possess. I want us to be strengthened because of the track record of the things that we've come through, the things that we've overcome. I want us to be strengthened. So what does that mean? What does that look like? It means that I want you to not be ashamed of your skills and your gifts and your talents. When you know that you're skillful in a certain area, when you know that you're talented in a certain area, when you know that you're gifted in a certain area, don't be ashamed of it. It is okay. You don't have to write a book about it. You don't have to write a how-to manual about it, but possess it and possess it with pride and be thankful that it is your gift. Didn't I say earlier that there are gifts in these earthen vessels? And when people say to you, you're talented, you're gifted, you ought to be proud of yourself. Learn how in humility to say thank you, but at least learn how to accept it. Learn how to live in those moments when your value has been discovered, when it has been recognized, when it has been acknowledged. One of the things that we want to do in life is we want to know that we matter. We want to know that we counted. We want to know that we made a difference in somebody's life and not just our own. So when people say to you, I recognize your gift, I recognize your talent, I recognize your value, learn how to say thank you. Don't cower in shame. You don't have to inflate your chest, but neither do you have to cower in shame. Learn, realize that yes, inside of me there's some earthen vessel, and thank you for recognizing it. Thank you for seeing it. Thank you for reminding me that I matter. Because what good is my journey here if I didn't matter to anybody other than me? And when they see it and they recognize it, and they comment, and they compliment you, learn how to say thank you. I'm just trying to offer us a moment of learning how to be proud of ourselves, because you do know that these holidays, these are the times when a lot of times people suffer with mental anxiety and mental anguish and depression and all of those sorts of things. But I want you to go through this season, this holiday season, when the pressure is on, saying, I'm thankful that if I don't have anything else, I have integrity, I have character, I know how to respond, I know how to treat people, I know how to set my goals, I know how to define my successes, I know how to define my wins, I know how to recognize talents. And when you recognize your gifts and talents and you acknowledge them, it is telling the Creator, thank you for what you've given me. One of my favorite movies, Imitation of Life. I remember Annie Johnson, just before she died, Annie Johnson, she said to the lady for whom she worked, she said, listen, there is no shame in looking like you're doing well. There's no shame in looking prosperous, because it's just your way of telling the master that you're ready for whatever else he wants to give you. God Almighty. So you don't have to hide your gifts under you don't have to take your candle and hide under a bush. Did you not know that part of the flame of your candle, it includes your gifts and your ability to handle life with integrity and your ability to interact with people, your ability, your gift to be charismatic, all of those sorts of things. You don't have to hide that candle under a bush and act like you're not good at what you do. Be thankful. Look at the strides that you've made. Look at how good of a steward you've been over those gifts and how good of a steward you've been over those talents. McDinah, I love that movie too. It's one of my favorite movies. But look at the strides that you've made. And sometimes it almost makes your heart skip a beat. I think about caregivers. Look at the strides that you make. Look at how you're handling life. Look at how you're challenging those. Look at how you're handling those challenging moments. Look at how your integrity is always on the stage. One of the things I want you to know is that you have what it takes. For every moment that you encounter, you have what it takes. And sometimes you say, well, Cutler, I don't have what it takes because I need to get other people. Well, what you have then are the resources to get to the other people. You have what it takes for every moment that you encounter, for every moment that you face. You have what it takes. Sometimes the it is the ability to reach other people. Don't let self-doubt creep in. Because no, we're talking about self-value and self-care and self-love. We're talking about being proud of yourself, being proud of what you've done, being happy with your efforts and pleased with your accomplishments. So don't let self-doubt creep in, because whenever you feel like you don't have enough, you do have the people around you to help you get what you need. You have resources. I used to tell people, they would say things like, oh, you're so smart, you're so academically gifted. And a lot of times I would say to them, thank you. But one of the things I realized was that even if I didn't have the knowledge here immediately, I was resourceful. I knew how to go and get it. And so one of my skills, one of my gifts, one of my talents was the ability to be resourceful. It's not always in my head immediately. Sometimes it's just a matter of being resourceful, knowing how to go get what I need to survive the moment. And that is the same thing for some of us. Learn how to get what you need to survive the moment. Because there are some moments that come when we need other people to help us survive those moments. So be proud of yourself. That's what I wanted to share. Be proud of yourself. And then as you develop the pride within you about you, it makes it easier for you to then go and help and encourage other people. Sometimes we want to encourage other people to be proud of themselves. And while we are trying to encourage them, we haven't even reached that place in ourselves. We are encouraging everybody else. Be proud of yourself. You ought to be proud of yourself. And my question to you this evening, are you proud of yourself? Wouldn't it be a lighter load if you can encourage someone else to be proud of themselves from the standpoint of being proud of yourself? Because what happens if you are trying to encourage somebody to be proud of themselves and you're not proud of yourself? So then let me just take it one step further. What happens if you're trying to encourage them to be proud of themselves and they said, I just can't? And you're trying to convince them and tell them how to be proud of themselves and you're not proud of yourselves. But when you can overcome the stigma, of not loving yourself and go into that place of loving yourself. Remember, I'm talking about proud from the perspective of self-love, not self-pride and arrogance and ego, but self-love. That says, I'm thankful for how I handled the moment. I'm thankful for my ability to handle these moments with the dignity that they call for, and then go on and be proud of yourselves. I just wanted to share that. Give life your best shot. Give every moment the energy that it deserves. Give every second the effort that it takes to get you through the next until the next second. I hope this resonates with somebody. I hope it resonates with somebody. So regardless of what kind of moment you're handling, you can handle it with integrity, because it's your response that matters. It is your response that matters. Even if you're angry, handle it with integrity. If you're sad, handle it with integrity. If you're anxious, handle it with integrity. If you're wrestling with doubt, just handle it with integrity. Whatever you're wrestling with, whatever circumstance you're holding in your hand or in your heart, just handle it with integrity. Thank you for allowing me to share that with you this evening. So whatever space you've allowed me to come into, I certainly appreciate that. I hope that there's some nugget that you got out of our conversation, out of these 1800 seconds this evening. Please do what we always do. Let's keep building community. Let's keep maintaining connectivity. Let's keep your heads up and keep your hopes up. Know this, you all. Know that from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. I appreciate you. I appreciate this moment. I appreciate you sharing your time. Thank you for sharing with me your time. Until the next time we talk, do me a favor. Tell somebody else. Come on. Let's talk to Cutler. Good night, everybody.